Hello, guys, and welcome to Comic Book Weekly. As you can see, we are missing Mike in action. He does give his apologies, but his night ran late, so he was not able to come on. But me and Brant had read so many books this week. We're like, we gotta jump on and give you guys a show before Thanksgiving. So there's not a ton of news, but there's enough to talk about, and there's our main topic to talk about, which if you guys have any like Q&A questions, maybe to stall a little before we get into the main topic, we'll do that. But Brant, how's it going?
Hey, it's going. No, it's I felt the same way. It's like it's so many books this week, and I was prepared and ready, and it's unfortunate Mike couldn't make it, but things happen, especially around the holidays. It makes sense. So hopefully next time we'll be three strong and we'll have some good stuff to talk about. But for now, Kat and I holding the fort down. So
I was actually going to see when, Christmas actually does not land on the
yeah,
Tuesday because I think last time it did. I
right.
have a feeling we probably will skip one or two of those weeks. But I was like, oh yeah, the holidays always get tough with that. But interestingly enough, Christmas Eve is on the Wednesday and New Year's Eve is on the Wednesday. So we'll
Yeah.
see if they're open. I feel like because it's Christmas Eve, maybe comic stores will be still open.
Yeah, I guess it'll just depend on like what's going on with all of our families at that point. Because like the 23rd is that Tuesday, so it's like 2 days before Christmas. So we'll see, but we'll let you know, when we get there, when we get closer.
Yes, we'll let you know as the month goes on.
Yeah.
But let's jump into our news here. We got Grimm gets an anime series from Netflix. I'm sure the spec market's going up with that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I didn't read Grimm. It was one that I missed, and I wish I didn't because Stephanie Phillips was still kind of a rising star at that point. And I
Yeah.
had read maybe a series before, then I was like, oh, I wasn't so into it. May Stephanie Phillips is not for me. And now post Grimm, I've read a lot of her series and I've really enjoyed it. So I was like, oh, I kind of wish I jumped back on. But maybe I'll get the trade before the series goes on. Or even better, I love a show I've actually not seen and read
Mm.
anything from because then I actually couldn't. Sometimes you'd enjoy it a little bit more because you're
Yeah.
not comparing it.
Yeah, for sure. Like I never read Revival. I know how much you loved it. We used to talk about it on a version of this show all the time. But I maybe read a couple of issues, but I never read it. So when I got into the show, even though the show's not great, it was still I could appreciate it more because I hadn't read it. But so yeah, I totally get that. With Grimm, I never read it either, and I don't know why. I think it just wasn't on my radar. And then
Maybe it was
Mike
a big
talked.
week if we both didn't read it.
Yeah, and then I know Mike read it, at least for a little while, and he liked it, and he would talk about it occasionally, and it just, by the time it was on my radar, it was so deep in that I was like, "Oh, I got so much other stuff to read." So eventually I will read it because it's Stephanie Phillips and I do love her writing, so we'll see. But yeah, I'm excited for the show.
Yeah, me too. And it's interesting that it's animated because
Yeah.
I think that works the best with comics, and we haven't really seen it very often. We saw it with Invincible, we saw it with Scott Pilgrim, and guess what? They were both really successful because
Yeah.
of that. So
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool idea from Netflix as well.
Yeah.
So let's jump into some other comic news. We only have two other pieces here. Well, two other pieces and then the big news piece. But
Right.
we will start with Duke meets Optimus Prime and G.I. Joe triggers the biggest Energon Universe crossover yet. So this, I'm guessing, was a big. I don't know if it's happened yet. Did it happen in like this issue or is it happening?
Yeah, no, it's happening in a few issues. I'm guessing after the current Dreadnought War that's going on for like the 5 issues. So we're like on part 2 of that this week. So we got 3 more issues, and then it'll probably be that. So yeah, it's looking like it's issue 19. We're on 14 now. So soon, but not yet. And that's cool because we've been building up to that. We have had a few Transformers pop up in GI Joe, and right now there's one of the Joes has kind of made a friendship with this Transformer, but Duke doesn't know about it, and Duke's still dealing with the trauma of seeing his co-pilot killed by the Decepticons, right? So seeing him come to head with Optimus Prime with his hatred towards these robots will be interesting to see how that all plays out for sure.
And then the next thing we have is a Philip Kennedy Johnson gets exclusive with Marvel. So he was
Miss that.
doing a lot with DC with
Yeah,
Superman, and now he's been on the Incredible Hulk for a very long time.
yeah,
So I think that's cool. Like I've been enjoying his Hulk run for the most part. I I feel like it's gone a little long drawn. It's so interesting because I think most of the time we're like, I want longer ongoing series, but I feel like
Yeah.
this one's been maybe a little bit too much ongoing. And now the newest series is pretty much just a spinoff of the current series we've been getting, which
Yeah.
comes out tomorrow, which again, I've been enjoying it. It just has been a little long drawn, but I wonder, and we'll talk about the X-Men and the new era of X-Men. If this means he'll do like X-Men stuff and we'll see him have or maybe Avengers, who knows, but he's obviously going to have a bigger role at Marvel if he's getting money to
Yeah.
stay there.
Right. I mean, like you said, he had this. I don't think I didn't read it, but I know he had like a really popular run on Superman on Action Comics, wasn't it? It was that whole oh, what's that character's name? The villain.
I don't remember his
uh,
name either, but he had another series like currently
yeah,
running that I think was a
yeah,
mini series that was like a continuation of that run.
right, right, and that's where those kids came out of too. That those younger kids that Superman was in care of. But yeah, critically acclaimed, run over there, and obviously, like you said, he's been doing a lot with Hulk. So yeah, I'm excited to see what he's going to do next. Because I haven't been into the Hulk stuff. I am going to try out Infernal, even though it's a continuation. I'm still going to try it, but I'm curious to see what he does on another property for sure.
So now we're going to go into our main topic here, which is X-Men United brings the mutants back to school with a new status quo, which is the old status quo. The only thing that's different is that Emma is running it all, seems like,
Yeah,
and the writer is going to be Eve Ewing. I think that like Uncanny X-Men and all that is still going on. So like
yeah,
X-Men, Uncanny X-Men. So if you've been enjoying that side, that is still going on. This is just going to be more, I guess, for people who enjoy the school aspect of X-Men.
yeah.
And I'm excited because it's Eve Ewing, who I really loved on Exceptional
Exceptional.
X-Men.
Yeah,
I am sad Exceptional X-Men is going to be over, and I don't know if Kitty from this press release is going to have much of a role in this
yeah.
team. Like I see her there, but like it doesn't seem like she'll be in the first couple of issues. And I don't know how to feel about it because I like going back to the status quo, but also I've seen this before. Like
Mm.
I can't tell until we read it. It doesn't completely excite me, but it doesn't not excite me.
It's I like the idea of this better than what we currently have. And like you said, Eve did a great job with Exceptional. For those that enjoyed it, Kat and I were both fans of that book, especially you, Kat. And Emma in Charge. I mean, it's nostalgic in the way she was on Generation X, and she was part of that teacher team with Banshee back in the day, and she's obviously doing it in Exceptional. So, and she's like the perfect person to take it over, right? And you would have never thought that, like 20 years ago, Emma Frost is going to lead the X-Men and be the teacher, take the Professor X role. I think that's interesting, and I'm definitely I I won't say like you. I'm not like, "Oh my god, I can't wait for this," but I'm very curious about it, and I can't wait to try it out to see, what the vibe is. So, hopefully we'll see more Kitty. Hopefully she'll be there and have a presence, but we'll see.
Yeah, and it's so funny, and I'll leave it at this, is just that I I think most topics that are like DC related, it gets so many
Mm.
people excited, like in the chat or just excited in
Yeah,
general and whatever. And then if you're hating on like Spider-Man or something, people are passionate enough that you're still like, oh my God, you're hating on
right.
it. Even though we try not to be too negative. Um, but X-Men, I know it has its little side pocket, but it feels like everyone's kind of given up on it from what, like, at least from like anytime, like I'll do a topic on like my channel or we do it here. And obviously we do it because it's the news, but it's just like, it seems like the thing that people are least excited to talk about.
Yeah, yeah, it's X-Men's a hard sell these days because, there's been so many ups and downs with it, and it just nothing ever pans out for them, right? It's hard to be an X-Men fan. But,
It is very hard because even if you're enjoying something, they'll just like take the rug out of you. Because again, I was
yeah,
really enjoying Exceptional X-Men. They're like, nah. Or you like the Emma Frost miniseries, like,
right.
whatever. And they keep doing so many different things, but also the same thing. And just, it doesn't feel like it
Yeah.
has a direction right now. So it's hard to be angry at it, but it's also it's hard to be excited at it. I just feel very new. It's funny because for my birthday, I watched, it's one of my favorite things to watch like once a year. It's the Randy Pouch, talk. It's called The Last Lecture. You might have heard of it before. And he has a saying in the lecture where he says that there's this like coach that used to really rile on him, and then there's somebody who said, oh, that's a good thing. That means he cares. If he gives up on you, that's when you know you did something really wrong. And I feel like that's the X-Men, right? Like with the Amazing Spider-Man, we still care. We still like rile on him. Or with DC, we're proud of him. With the X-Men, we've kind of given up on them. And I think that's like the worst position you could be in.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt. Yeah. It's kind of sad. And it's funny because like X-Men were some of my favorite characters, when I got into comics and stuff. So it's kind of, it's sad. It's sad to see them kind of go down that road. But maybe this series will turn it around. I was looking up the artist. I'm not too familiar with their work. They did like the last or like issues 4 and 5 of The Death of Silver Surfer. I did not read that, so
Oh,
I don't.
it's solid
Okay.
art. I don't know if it's
Okay.
like, oh my God, that
Yeah.
artist, but it's solid.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, not much else, like a couple of new Avengers books, and that's pretty much it.
That's
Is
so
all the
interesting.
comic
They
book
picked
credits.
such a new artist for
Yeah.
like what seems like to be a flagship X-Men title.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I guess, maybe they impressed them that much. I don't know. Or they just have no hope in this book. And they said, we'll just put a new artist on it. No, I don't know. I'm joking, obviously. Um,
And it's interesting that those other books are still going on at the
yeah,
same time, or it's like, so are we in a new era? Or are we not in a new era? Like,
right.
what's going on right now?
Yeah, it's no telling. I think they're throwing, spaghetti at the wall here. And we'll
Seeing if
see.
it sticks.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we'll see. I'll stay optimistically and has what's the word?
Optimistically hesitant.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the news. I'm going to talk about some Kickstarters, and then we're going to jump into the comics, which was a lot of comics. So
Yeah.
even if we go through some of the ones on the list in our top 5, I'm sure there's still other comics to talk about because I got like 20 books this week, which is a lot for me. I know Brant was saying he had like 23. I think Mike was in the same ballpark, so there's just a ton of books. So, but yeah, let me show you guys some Kickstarters, and then we will get into our comics here. But first up, I'm gonna search it. But because I got 3 Kickstarters, believe it or not, going on. It's a little crazy. But we got Witches of Oz. If you have been in the Wicked high because of the movie, go check this out. It's Glinda and the Wicked Witch finally together, and it's them in Kansas. So it really revolves around the Wizard of Oz and Dorothy and what you liked from there and doing this fish out of water story. So go check that out. I'll give the links to all this after I discuss them. Next up is our holiday Kickstarter, which you're gonna see the behind the scenes. But this was a really, really quick Kickstarter where we just wanted to give an opportunity for people to buy gifts for their loved ones, to get them into comic books. We have so many different types of comics: horror, superhero, not safe for work, like literally the gamut. So we want you guys to get a chance to get comic books wrapped before the holidays. So we're going to be shipping out speedily after this Kickstarter is done to get it for the holidays. So hopefully you guys go check that out. And if you're already a fan of our comics, we do have a metal cover of our webtoon Slice of Life where it's holiday themed. So we also have that exclusive cover. And then last but not least, I don't remember if I talked about this last week, but this is a series that I did. We're publishing this series, and it's David Boer, who did Specs that we've talked about a lot on this show. Also Rain, which we've talked about with Joe Hill and Ghostbusters and stuff like that. And this is the devil's son getting kicked out of hell and now having this kind of found family where he's a detective. So if you enjoy horror, if you enjoy a whiskey soaked queer horror comic, go check it out. And it's cool to, publish someone that's not us and get his comic off the ground and showcase the world of Kickstarter. So I will be sharing all those links in the comments. We also had a comment here from Tyler Durden. Did you guys hear Criminals graphic novels coming out in 2026? For me, it's so hard to follow those graphic novels because we're such Wednesday warriors. It's like I rarely kind of read the OGNs, but I mean, that's pretty cool. I've read some of their line. I don't know if I've read Criminal though.
Yeah,
I've read Kill or Be Killed. We read that.
Yeah. I think there might have been one other that you and Mike read. I don't remember what it is. I read Kill or Be Killed. That might be the only one that I've read, but I've never read Criminal. I did look it up after I saw that comment though, and yeah, it's Criminal is also going to Amazon Prime.
Yes.
And they're doing the new graphic novel in June for anybody that is a fan. So
I feel like they're probably doing it also, obviously, to promote
yeah,
the television show, which I'll watch the TV show. Again, I've heard
yeah,
such great things about the comic. So
right.
again, what we mentioned with Grimm, it's cool to get into a show that I haven't read. We do have a comment here from Jonaser. Thanks for putting the show on this week, Comic Una, Only Good Comics. Will the live stream be posted so I could catch the start of the conversation? Yes. So
Yeah,
every single time it's posted after YouTube does it automatically. We record live, so you watch live so you can be part of the comments. If not, which many people do, I think more than half the people that watch this show
yeah, for sure.
watch post live because we see the viewers, where the viewers
Yeah,
are, and then where it goes up. We usually get a little over 1,000 views, and I think by the end we're usually at like 300. So more than half
yeah,
watch this post live, and it's every week.
yeah, and it's on 2 different channels. It's on Comic Book Weekly's channel, and it's on Mike's Comic Book Corner 2.0 channel, so you can catch on either one.
Yeah, Comic Book Weekly is great because obviously you have you have it all in one spot, which is
Right.
really cool. So if you're looking for just the live show, Comic Book Weekly is great. And then
Yeah.
obviously if you're looking for Mike's content, he has the live show and also obviously his other YouTube content.
Yeah,
So
for the last few years, that's the only content we've done on Comic Book
mm,
Weekly, so you can just watch every single episode right there.
exactly. So hopefully you guys can. So let's go into the comics. I'm going to pass the baton to Brant for this one.
All right, so we'll start with Kate because this is a book that I don't think any of us read when it first came
I don't
out.
think so. I think it
It is
might have been a backup story, but if it was, I don't remember
yeah,
it.
so part of it was. So it was a 3-issue miniseries, and then they had backup stories in Invincible as well. There was a thing in the back that was talking all about this. So the first 6 issues of this series is old material, but it's been remastered. It's been actually
Mm.
redrawn by the
Oh,
artists and everything, I think. So, but yeah, the content is the same, right? So they're republishing the first 6 issues, which again was the 3-issue mini and the backups. But after that, at issue 7, it's starting with brand new content that they say are going to have some surprises, and these characters might be showing up more frequently on future episodes. I mean, on future seasons of the Invincible animated series as well. So I thought that was interesting. As you know, going outside of the actual story, I thought it was really interesting that they're actually bringing the series, into the present with new content after issue 6. So that's pretty cool. So that alone makes me want to continue reading it. So just to see the new stuff in the Invincible world, right? So, but as far as the issue itself, I thought it was decent. It's not my favorite Invincible content, but and it's a little dated,
they had a
obviously.
heroes reference in
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it.
So, I mean, obviously, there's going to be some dated stuff, but I thought it was still fun, in a kind of a tongue in cheek way. So, I don't know. What do you
I
think?
wanted to like the characters a bit more. I felt like
Yeah,
almost all of them were very unlikable, and I
yeah,
guess that was a little bit of the point. But for me, I'm like, there's so many comics out there. If I'm gonna dislike you, I want a real reason to really dislike you.
right.
Besides that, you're kind of mildly annoying. But
Yeah,
then again, there wasn't anybody that was too likable either. So it is fine. I think it'll be interesting to see them again change it after issue 7. That this is his like
yeah,
passion project.
right.
Dog's playing with her toy. But yeah, I don't know if I'd pick up the next issue. I love Invincible, but I think I'm learning more and more. I love Invincible for the main cast
Well,
and
yeah,
not
yeah.
not the things we've been kind of getting in the past couple of years.
Yeah, and I totally get that, and I respect that. I'm Because of the new stuff coming, after these 6 issues, I'm probably gonna stick with it just because I wanna see what happens next.
Hmm.
If it wasn't for that, if I had not read that in the back and known about that, I would probably be in the same boat as you. This because none of the characters are likable, especially once you got to know them. That last page where like
Yeah,
those
with
2
that guy.
characters, yeah, that guy and saying what he did, and then the other guy being like, "Yeah, we'll just let the other heroes handle this. We don't care." It's like, "Oh man, this was supposed to be our entrance character here, but whatever." We'll see what happens with it going forward, or at least I will. We'll see what happens.
You have to
I'll
keep me
keep you posted.
updated.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, so let's go to. We'll just get this one out of the way. Let's go to DC Marvel Batman Deadpool
Let's get out of the way.
issue
I
one.
mean,
Yeah,
it's
go
just
ahead.
no, I was gonna say, I mean, it's literally the same comic as the other one. Doesn't really matter
Yeah,
who published it. Except
yeah.
I thought the main story was even worse.
Did you really? I thought it
I
was
didn't
just
like
like a
it.
hair better. Honestly, just I don't know what it was about it. I just thought it was a hair better than the Marvel version of it. The backup stories, though, I was really disappointed in this time. Like there were a couple that I liked in the last one. In this one, the only one that I kind of liked was the Nightwing
Same.
Wolverine one, but it didn't give me enough of it. It just kind of cut off abruptly, and that was my problem with that one. But yeah, the main story, it was like it was what you would expect after reading that first one. So
Yeah, I agree on that. And with the Tom Taylor one, the reason I was interested in that compared to some of the other ones, but I still think the Captain America Wonder Woman story is better in the first
yeah,
one. It's just the idea of like these two major runs in the last decade being Laura
right,
and Nightwing literally being able to collide feels like, oh, that feels like a celebration of Marvel and DC in a really different way, like
yeah,
in a creator way. So I liked
right,
the celebration of that. I enjoyed. But I mean, they just got to stop with the anthologies. Like it's like we've been waiting for so long, and it's just you cannot tell a real story in this
yeah,
format.
yeah, for sure. It's
At least
like
for these characters. I'm not saying you can't
yeah,
tell good anthology stories. Obviously, they're good anthologies, but they're more I think the best anthologies are ones that are like about a topic, about like, when they did the Pride anthologies
yeah.
or when they're just specific. They're a little easier because
Yeah,
it's specific.
right, and I don't even mind, like, if it was, like, Image used I didn't really care for the stories that were in it, but I like the concept of it. Image did the Image thing where the stories continued for a few issues of the
Mhm.
anthology. I even more fine with that because then you get a full story, and maybe that can be collected and put out in a different format and stuff like this, but these things are just like little glimpses, and it's like, if you really do like one of them, it's like it hurts almost that you can't get more of it.
Yeah.
Like that Captain America Wonder Woman, it's like, I want that. I don't want this.
I
I
don't
know
need
these
more
characters.
Batman and
Right. I know they're
Deadpool.
popular. I know they'll sell books, but I don't want that. I want something good. Give me something good.
And I will say, going to the comic store, and I texted you guys this. The line was so long because of
Yeah.
this. Like, it's so interesting. It's like DCKO wasn't bringing these type of
Yeah.
numbers because I think people just from the outside looking in are like, DC and Marvel this is gonna be worth something.
Oh,
But I was
spec
waiting
stuff.
online for a good like 20 minutes, and I was maybe 10 minutes later than I usually am. I was running a little late, so I usually go when like right when the store opens, and I was probably there at like 12:15, and the line was like out the door. I was like, damn.
Yeah,
For
that's crazy.
Batman versus Deadpool, and
Yeah.
for the second part, not like I
Right.
understand the first part is like, oh, I want to know what this is about, but this is the second part now.
Yeah. It's all spec market.
Yeah, oh
That's all it
yeah,
was for
yeah,
sure. And that's
100%.
that's the one thing that makes me sad about these kind of things, these kind of promotions and stuff. Is just like, this is don't you guys understand? This is what almost killed our industry. Stop it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, let's move on. Enough talking about that. All right, so we've got two Spider-Man books here. How do we want to do this? We want to compare them, or do we want to talk about them individually?
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. We've got
Let's
yeah, go
We're
ahead.
going. No, no, I was gonna you choose. I'm literally trying to figure out. This was the Norman Osborn one. I was like, this isn't the space, or
Yes,
was it the space
yeah,
one?
but it's John Romita Jr. art, so you got to
That
take
was
marks
it.
off.
No, that was
so,
it.
so yeah,
Go
we got
on.
Amazing Spider-Man 16 and Radioactive Spider-Man 2. So one in continuity, one out, kind of. So yeah, all right. So for Amazing Spider-Man, I didn't think the story was bad. I'm not a fan of the art. That's
Yeah,
no secret. No disrespect. It's just not my thing. Um, but the story I thought was decent. And again, it's the more human side, it's the more grounded side. You had some emotional beats with Ben Riley here. You had some with Norman Osborn. I thought both of those were handled well. Not the best issue of this story that I've read, but still, I like the direction that they're heading. This seemed like a little bit of a slower issue. You had Tombstone confronting Norman, and you had Ben, kind of having this thing where he realizes he wants the credit for the stuff that he does instead of just pretending to be Peter. So I appreciate, the nuances there. So what did you think about that one?
no, I feel the same way. I thought Norman was a really good character. Out of anything that's come out of Amazing Spider-Man recently, I've really enjoyed Norman's arc.
Yeah.
So seeing him in the forefront is great. Ben Riley, on the other hand, I'm just like, do we need to follow his story?
Mm,
I didn't care as much. It was
yeah.
interesting, and I showed this to Brant and Mike. So I was on Facebook, and Image Comics posted Nick Jonas reading a comic book, and I was like, why is he getting a role or something? And it was like an issue 5. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this? So I searched the comic and I found out his brother, Frankie Jonas, writes a comic. I'm like, oh, that's really cool. And I went on his Instagram and he like reads comics like
Oh.
Wednesday Warrior, because I watched one of his videos and it was his pull list. And he talked about Spider-Man and he's like, I really like the cosmic side of Spider-Man more. So it really
That's
shows
hilarious.
that, you know, it shows that everyone has different sides. But it was really interesting to see like how much he's like Wednesday Warrior, the way he was talking. He was talking about Mega Kids. He's like, Tony Fleek's my boy. It's like, damn, you know comic books. You're talking specifically about Tony Fleek's. But anyways, the point being of that story was that, yeah, some people like the cosmic side, some people like the Norman side. But because me, Brant, and Mike have known each other for 15 plus years, I think sometimes our minds a little meld together too. It's like, you know, I think we also have similar tastes. I mean, we have different tastes in certain regards, but for the most part, you have similar tastes. So it's always interesting to hear like someone else's way off opinion. Like it was different. And I like that because again, in our chat, I think most people like the Norman stuff. So to hear people are like, oh, I really like the cosmic stuff.
Yeah,
it shows that they should be two different titles because no one says I love both.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely, they should definitely split them out. That is weird. That's strange. And honestly, I didn't know they had another brother. So that's kind of sad. But yeah.
I think he's known for being the other brother that wasn't part of the band. So I think that's okay.
I had no idea. I just recently learned that Kevin can sing, you know, which I think is awesome. You know, he's actually putting out music and stuff. I thought it was pretty cool. I
agree.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. Anyway, no, that's cool though that there are fans for it. That's that's something at least. So at least there's a reason that they keep doing that kind of stuff. People actually
I didn't know that either. Jack Quaid's a big comic fan. Who knew?
I did know that.
I didn't know that. That makes sense. I know I seen him in comic stores, but I just figured he's like, oh, I'm part of the boys, you know, whatever. But I love hearing that. I know Michael B. Jordan's a really big comic fan, like a comic fan. Like I like seeing when people of influence could get other people into comics, and it's not just like I'm doing this to try to become a bigger movie star.
Yeah, there's a lot of wrestlers that are comic book fans too, especially like 30 and under. Yeah. Or like 35 and under. There's a good amount of them, which is kind of cool. So, some of them will talk about it all, and they're big comic book and video game fans. So it's like, okay, these are really my people now because I love wrestling too. So it's like, anyway.
And I know they're doing the AEW DC thing soon. Or did it happen already?
I don't know what exactly they're doing. I know they've been doing like the variant covers and stuff like that. There's been a lot of talk and stuff. I don't know what's ever going to actually come of it. I know that they're on TBS and stuff, so they're in the Warner Brothers system. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. All right, so let's move on from that one and talk about Radioactive then. I thought this was a better issue than the first issue. Especially the stuff with May and kind of wrestling with his conscience over all that, and then you get Miles and Gwen coming in and confronting him and everything, and obviously the cliffhanger we get. So this made me like this series better, but there's only one more issue now, so it's like and then it doesn't mean anything after that. So it's kind of sad in that way, but at least they gave us a pretty solid story here for this, at least for this mini.
Yeah, I felt the same. I like this issue more than Amazing Spider-Man, just because the art obviously was better.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I like that there's somewhat of a story. I'm not saying it's like the best story in the world, but there is a through line of some sort that they're trying to do with this issue. And I can respect that because I feel like it's been a while since we've gotten a through line. I think the art is pretty solid for this book too. So it's hard because you are comparing every other Age of Revelations book, which I just have not liked besides the Emma Frost book. So it's just like, it's one of the better ones. So it's like comparing to it's up here, but everything else is kind of down here. So
yeah, it is hard. But I mean, again, at least it's a decent story. That's all you can ask for of something like this, I guess. So, but yeah, because of the art, I liked it a little bit better too. Even though Amazing Spider-Man was a decent story too.
Yeah, and I genuinely think if it was a different artist, I think I
Yeah,
probably would like the Amazing Spider-Man more. But like I said, I didn't
yeah.
love the Ben stuff, so that put it a
Mm,
little down for
gotcha.
me. Not that Ben was in it that much, but he was in it just enough that I was like, I don't
Right.
really need this.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it a little later, but it's a decent week for spider characters. We'll just say that.
Yes, we will.
All right, so let's move on to our number fives then. So, what was your number five then, Kat?
Mine was Absolute Flash
Okay, I
issue
think it's 9.
9.
Okay.
And we're digging deeper into what's going on with who's potentially going to be Reverse Flash, with where the Rogues stand.
Yeah,
I just like that it feels like a very different world. Like it's everything you know about Flash, but it's a little twisted, and that's what we like
yeah,
about the Absolute Universe. I really like the art here. I think I haven't disliked many Absolute titles, and the ones that people dislike the most are the ones that I think are actually pretty solid. Like I
mm,
know that a lot of people don't love Absolute Green Lantern if they are disliking one, and that's like my favorite Absolute title.
yeah. It's one of my favorites too. I really like this one as well. Aside from those couple of issues that were a little bit slower, this has been a really solid book, and this issue in particular, like learning more about how Wally came to be where he's at, what what pieces were in place, and then of course the betrayal but from Jesse and all that stuff and everything. It's just I don't know, it's a more of a slow build title, but I appreciate that because it's a nice contrast because you're talking about speedsters, fastest characters in the world, but the story is kind of a little slow building it up. So I appreciate kind of the contrast there. So no, but this was a solid issue, and I love the art in this book. I really like the art in this book. Didn't quite make my top 5 though. All right, so before I share mine, I will share Mike's number 5, which was Final Boss issue number 1, new series from Image Comics. That is not on our list, so I'll talk about it briefly because it's
I read
not
it too, so we could
okay.
talk about it.
Yeah, it's not in my top 5. I'm glad Mike enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it quite as much as Mike. I did like it, but I think I wanted a little bit more from it. I know it's supposed to be like mindless action, 90s kind of video game kind of thing, but I still wanted a little bit of a stronger story, personally. But I'll still read it. I enjoyed it enough to get the next issue. What about you?
I felt the same. I knew this could be something Mike liked, so I wasn't
Yeah,
surprised when it was on his list. But it's
right.
also something that is a little bit more out of my wheelhouse. Like I could appreciate because it was good art, like right. It
Yeah,
was
for
good
sure.
action. It was like a
Yeah,
fun ending. I could appreciate it. But when you got to make the cuts, is this something I'm going to
right.
remember to pick up for issue 2? Probably not. There
Yeah,
wasn't that much to it. It just depends how much you love 90s comics. If you
yeah,
love 90s comics, you're going to really enjoy this comic. It's one of the better
absolutely.
versions of a 90s comic. But I just like story a lot more. Like I like action. I enjoy obviously good art, but there's got to be some character motive behind it. And that's not really happening in this issue.
Yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, it's written and illustrated by Tyler Kirkham, who is primarily an artist, and you can always kind of tell that. And but that does harken back to, like you said, the '90s Image brand. That's basically what it was
Hmm.
a bunch of artists writing their own books, and for that nostalgia wise, I appreciate it, but I feel very similar to the way you feel. So we'll see if I get the next issue, but I think I probably will at least one more. So
I think it's only a mini too, so I don't
yeah.
think it's an ongoing.
Right. All right. So my number 5 is actually the Sacrificers issue number 17. Did you read this,
Now I
or did you
dropped it a
drop
little
it? You
while
dropped
ago,
it.
but
Okay.
it's still kind of on my pull list, and I'm just like, you guys could
Yeah.
take it off because it's just like it was a solid enough series, but I remember every issue I was like, I want a little bit more, and then at a certain point, I'm like, I'll get to this
Yeah.
another time.
The delays killed it, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, that really hurt it.
and it's
This
very
is
long running for the concept.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I liked about this issue though, was because it kind of harkened in a new era because now Seluna has her powers back in this issue and she's welcomed back into the fold and she acts like she's kind of seen the light and she's going to drink the stuff and become one of the gods and all this stuff, and then the plot unfolds and she wipes out the entire pantheon basically, and then the pigeon is there too. And Seluna sits on the throne, pigeon at her side for a whole new era of whatever is going to happen things, which I appreciated that. So we'll see where it goes from here. I'll give it an issue and see what the story it feels like with them in charge now. Um, but yeah, that I like the twist there. So
How many issues? It's like past 20 something now, right?
it's 17 right
Okay.
now. So I don't know how long it's supposed to go because I thought it was only going to be like 12 issues and
Mm,
done. But yeah, here we are.
still going.
Right. All right. So that is all our number fives. Let's see. Let's talk about. I didn't actually read One World Under Doom, so we can
Oh,
take that
yeah,
one
we'll
off.
take that one off.
That's one of the ones I didn't get to. We already talked about Absolute Flash, so I'll quickly talk about Exquisite Corpses number 7. Um, this is kind of the halfway point of the story, and things are starting to pick up a little bit. You're starting to see some tension between the rich families that are behind all this, and one of them in particular is kind of advancing the game faster than the other families want, and the killers are starting to be taken off the board. And now all the cameras have gone down, and nobody can see what's going on. So things are getting really intense. So it was kind of a transitional issue a little bit. So not a whole lot going on in this one, but I'm very curious to see what happens with the next issue.
And this is ongoing, right? It's not a maxi series.
I think it's 13 issues actually.
Okay.
So
So
yeah, it's
almost a maxi series.
right. So we're at issue 7, so we're about halfway. So yeah. And that's if it's, they may just be doing like a volume 1 and continuing. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
know this particular run, I think it ends at 13.
It also was so popular. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
they had a hint it was going to be this popular, but you never know until you know. So now they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it's big. We should do more stuff with it." I know,
Oh,
like
for
he's
sure.
definitely done other volumes of his books too, so it
Yeah.
makes sense.
And I think they're putting out a trading card game for it next year.
Mm.
And so yeah, they're doing stuff with it. So I wouldn't be surprised if it came back. All right. So let's go into our number 4s then. Um, we'll do Mike's first, which was G.I. Joe number 14. We'll talk about that in a little bit because it's also in my top 5. So I'll save thoughts for that one. What was your number 4?
I picked this up because I was like, "Oh, this kind of reminds me of the early days of the series," and I did get World's Finest issue 45. And I liked it. It was Joker and Lex Luthor teaming up with each other. And I'm like, oh man, it's so weird that you don't actually get to see that often. And in the end, they combine to become one character. And
Oh,
you're like, oh shit, that's kind of cool.
yeah.
It kind of has a Dan Moore feel. I don't think Dan Moore draws it anymore. I like pretty sure he doesn't. It is the artist is Gutierrez, and it has like a Dan
Okay.
Moore feel to it.
Yeah.
He designed the character at the end, which feels very Dan Moore. So, but yeah, it was cool. If you like the early days of World's Finest, I recommend this arc. I'll
Okay.
pick it up until the vibe is lost again, or if it doesn't
Yeah.
get lost, I'll keep picking it up. But after you guys talked about the last issue, I was like, and then I saw the cover for this. I was like, I'll check this one out, and I'm glad I did.
That's cool. I did not get this one, unfortunately, so I'll have to check it
Again, the
out.
type
Yeah.
of week, understandable.
Right. Yeah, for sure. All right. And mine is the Ultimates issue number 18. This issue was pretty good. We had Tony Stark kind of broadcasting to the entire world, revealing the Maker's plans and everything, and basically, declaring war on all of his people, all the top families, the Rasputins, etc. And kind of pleading with everyone in the world to basically take up arms and become ultimates and fight, fight the man basically. So interesting issue because you saw in the background all these families kind of panicking and kind of going into action trying to combat the ultimates. You had Luke Cage with his prison gang basically attacking the military. You had America Chavez kind of getting revenge on Midas and all this stuff. So you had a lot going on in the background, but you felt like it was building to something. And I know it's about to end, but at the same time, I'm kind of excited to see how it ends now. So it says it's been counting down to the Maker's return, and now it's 0 months till his return. So now we're going to finally get there. So yeah, solid issue. All right. Let's see what we got next. G.I. Joe's on the list. And so is Ultimates. So I just talked about Ultimates. I'll be brief with G.I. Joe. It was another good issue. It's the Dreadnought War. Second part of it, you had Cobra Commander and Duke teaming up on the run from the Dreadnoks, trying to get away from them. They run into trouble at the end. Well-known Dreadnought by the name of Road Pig, who's like this big bodybuilder type dude that carries around the cement block. He basically crushed Cobra Commander's head in. Curious to see what happens from that. And then there was like some subterfuge going on behind the scenes with the Joe team. Not too much there. It was mainly like the Dreadnoks chasing Duke and Cobra Commander was pretty much the bulk of the issue. So good action scene sequences, some nice double page spreads, multiple panel layouts and stuff like that. Really cool art wise. So, but yeah. All right. And that brings us to our number 3 then. So yeah, I've been talking a lot. Kat, take this one.
My number 3 is Spider-Gwen Ghost Spider issue 4. I've just been really liking this series. I enjoyed Flash's team up with Gwen in this issue. I like her point of view on Venom and just her anger towards this character. And then also she teams up with other spider people. It's just it's everything I want in a spider book. Just like good supporting cast, interpersonal relationships, even if it's with a Venom symbiote. I like the angst of Spider-Gwen in particular. I just feel like Stephanie Phillips gets this character really well. And I actually even think the darker art fits for this arc in particular.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. This is my number 6, so just outside. I really love this series as well. I was excited about some other books this week. Normally this would be in my top 5. I've really enjoyed this particular run as well, and I love seeing Silk show up. I'm always happy to see Silk. We don't get enough of Silk these days. Sorry, I was reading Tebia's comment there.
Yeah, I mean, we can read it out loud. Spider-Gwen should go back home. The one thing I'll say with this run is that they pretty much reversed everything besides the MJ. So that's why I like this run a little bit more. Is like it's kind of what it was. Like she has to stay in the 616 for at least she has her dad. She has the band again. Like it's pretty similar to the Earth 65 stuff.
Yeah, I don't think we're ever going back to Earth 65, so I'm okay with this. I mean, she rewrote the universe to include her family dynamic here, so I don't think we're ever going back. But this was the best way they could have done it, I think, and that's why I really trust Stephanie with this character too, because she, like you said, she just gets this version of Gwen, and it shows. And the art is really nice with the series as well. I think. The character of Fabian has come quite a bit. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one too.
Tevia says it doesn't make sense for her to be in this universe. I'll say, look, I like the Earth 65 universe, but if you're talking business, Spider-Gwen teaming up with Miles and teaming up with Silk is going to sell books more than her just going to her Earth 65 characters.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone expected Spider-Gwen to be as big as she was, or Miles. That's why they're here. It's just that way they could team up with other people and interact with the Marvel Universe. And when a big event happens, they could be there. And that's business. Like, obviously, like, yeah, it would be great to tell an Earth 65 story, but how long does that go? It can't go very long. And that's why Miles is still here, and why the Ultimate Universe is also ending, again, especially with Marvel. I think DC, because they're building the Absolute Universe in the way they are, that feels like its own universe, and it's become so popular as of right now. 10 years from now, I don't know if the Absolute Universe is going to look like it is now.
It's also because DC hasn't really ever done anything like that, while Marvel has. Aside from Elseworlds, books and stuff like that. So it's interesting because 20 years ago, 10 even 10 years ago, Ultimate Universe, Spider-Girl, things like that made sense at Marvel. Now they don't do as well. That's why the Ultimate Universe keeps ending. That's why 2099 doesn't ever work long term. It's why Gwen is here. It just, for some reason, there's not an audience for that at Marvel, I guess. And those books just don't tend to do well long term. So it does make sense in that way for her to be in the 616.
We don't all love it, but at least they got to a point. I will say it was a hard chunk in the middle that is just like, what is she doing here? But now, at least with Stephanie Phillips' voice, like, at least it's like, okay, this kind of makes sense,
Yeah. And Tebia, I totally get it and respect that you like her universe better. The only problem is it's just there's not enough people like you that do. It seems like most people prefer, when they cross over with more characters and stuff like that. and I think that's why it sells and stuff like that. So
And you gave the reference of Mayday, and I
yeah,
am the biggest champion of Mayday
right,
Parker you'll ever meet in your life. And she didn't sell as much. That's why she's not around.
exactly,
So
exactly,
because the
yeah,
MC2 just wasn't as I think people just don't have that much, they need to spend their money where they can, and they rather
right,
spend their money on a content, especially in superhero comics. You want
yeah,
to see the continuity move forward. That's why you're reading superhero comics. You want to see how do things connect, like, or else you'd just be reading indie comics, right? Because then if you
yeah,
just wanted one succinct story, that's why you would read an indie comic. So if you're reading the big two, you probably want there to be some connective tissue. That's why we complain about Marvel sometimes. It's like,
yeah,
how is this happening in one world under Doom, and this happens in Fantastic Four? Because like we're
right,
here for the connective tissue.
yeah. Yeah, so it's like your opinion's not wrong, Tebby. It's just
No,
it doesn't sell. That's all. That's what it boils down to.
and sometimes you got to root for the thing that's here, or else you're not going to
Mhm.
have it anymore. If you complain like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Spider-Gwen sucks," then you'll not have Spider-Gwen at all, and that
Yep.
sucks more. Like I want to see her stories, and that's why I'm not going to complain about it, especially if the
Yeah.
story is good. Like if I'm not enjoying the story, I'd be like, "Wow, it's not for me." But if the
Yeah.
story is good, and the only thing I'm not liking is that Earth 65's not here, then I'm going to
Yeah.
live with that, because I at least have Spider-Gwen on a monthly basis. And for a long time, we didn't have Spider-Gwen for a monthly basis.
Yeah. And so I'm happy that both Miles and Gwen, at least for me personally, and I know you don't read Miles, but I'm
Mm,
happy that both of them have kind of found their way in this world because that's what we get, and I'm happy to have them than not have them, like you said. So,
no. Like I wish I had Mayday. As
yeah.
much as I love the MC2, I'd at least like to see Mayday every
Right.
every month. And I
Yeah,
don't get to see either.
for sure. All right. So let's see. Mike's number three. That was your number three, right?
Yeah,
Um,
so it's been for yeah.
Yeah, Mike's number 3 was The Sacrificers, so it was in
Yeah.
his, top 5 as well. My number 3 is the Spider-Man Holiday Spectacular
We have
issue
a
1.
lot to talk about there. I'm really
Yeah,
excited to talk about it.
yeah, so I will give Mike's quick thoughts on this because
Mm.
he wanted us to make sure we mentioned something. I just gotta find it so I can say a word
I
about
think
it.
it was just that he mentioned that this was the best Spider-Man story he read this year.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. So, yeah, this was his favorite Spider-Man story of the entire year, which is a lot. That's a big statement, and I thought it was a fantastic story as well. I absolutely love this book. Basically, for anybody that didn't read it, Spider-Man doesn't get to spend the holidays with Aunt May, and so the entire Marvel universe gets together and fights over who gets to spend time with Spider-Man. You think it's pity at first. He thinks it's pity at first, but it's really they just want Spider-Man around because he's light and fun and takes the pressure off of everything else going on. And I thought that was really touching, really charming. Seeing him interact with all the different characters in Marvel was a fun time, and it was just a nice fun holiday story that didn't have to mean more than that. So,
And that's how you should do a one shot is
yeah.
just let it mean something within that story, and that's all
Mhm.
you need because it could be
Yeah.
special. And I'm really glad Mike read that because me
Mhm.
and Bran have been hollering Rainbow's name
Yeah.
for years because we love Runaways and we love how she's written Runaways. And I wrote a thing about Runaways recently, and I was like, one of the things I love about Runaways is it's one of the only series where you can have characters grow. It's one of
Yeah.
the only series where you don't have to put the toys back in the toy box because no one cares what's going on with the Runaways in a nice manner. Like they're not Spider-Man. You don't have to be
Yeah.
like they do not need to be the friendly neighborhood hero. They could just be whatever they want. And something I love about Rainbow is that she doesn't forget storylines. She's like
Yeah.
really, really good at keeping continuity, which is something I miss in comics. And it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it happened 50 years ago or 5 years ago. She will keep the
Right.
continuity. And she just understands why Marvel is so great. And I think what Marvel has kind of forgotten, the reason Marvel is great, because it's grounded stories that Johnny and Spider-Man are best friends. We could get a story with that. That's what
Yeah.
I love about Marvel. And
Yeah.
DC was more fantastical. It's more about like the bigger battles and the world ending multiple times. Marvel wasn't that. Marvel is just kind of simpler storytelling or more realistic storytelling. So when you have something like this, where it's just about Spider-Man missing his aunt,
Mhm.
it felt like old superhero
Yeah.
stories. And it's just what Rainbow really shines bright at. She understands Spider-Man's voice. She understood everyone's voice here. And
Mhm.
I just think you guys need to give Rainbow a chance because everything
Yeah.
she's written is especially like, Lois Lane, like all these, especially like small stories, like just anytime you see her name, you got to pick it up because she understands comics. She understands how these characters work. And this is just a Christmas special, but it felt special. And again, I'm really glad Mike picked it up because I thought he would really like it. And him saying it was the best Spider-Man story shows like,
Yeah.
have an open mind to something like the holiday special, you know?
Yeah, and he also said, "I feel she gets the personality of what the Marvel characters are," and that's high praise from Mike, I think, and so
Mhm.
that's really cool, and I'm glad that he read it and understands everything you just said, and just like you talked about how she remembers all these storylines and everything. There was a big double page spread where all the heroes are gathered, and you have Spider-Man's amazing friends standing there chatting, Firestar, Iceman, even Human Torch is standing there and they're chatting. You had Justice from the New Warriors kind of side eyeing Firestar, so you had little moments like that that were like little Easter eggs, and I really appreciated that attention to detail as well. So yeah,
Well,
just a fantastic book.
something I was impressed by and how I knew she remembered plot points was in the original Runaways run, like her
Mhm.
original one from years ago, when she wanted Caroline and Nico to get together. She wasn't just like, well, I kind of wanted them to get together. Like, let's just do it.
Yeah,
There's the smallest of smallest storylines where Julie and Carolina get together. It's like one issue of a book, or maybe two issues of a book.
yeah,
And most writers would be like, who cares what happened in that book? But she cared so much that she gave like a 7-issue arc of this breakup before
yeah.
she would get Nico and Carolina together because she
That's
didn't want to
true.
forget that Julie was a character and that they liked each other. So
Yeah,
I thought that like that's what I mean. That's what I like about comics. Like remember maybe the 2 issues thing that
yeah,
one writer did, and let's follow it through. And because that's
right.
what continuity is.
Yeah, yeah, and it also just shows the fandom in the creators behind it. It's like they are fans. If they dig that deep into a character and pull something out that most people probably didn't even notice or pay attention to, it shows how much they care, and that makes
Mhm.
for better storytelling, I think. So,
And I hope to see even more Rainbow because she's just
yeah,
amazing. I just love her writing, and I'm glad she's writing for both DC and Marvel and pick up
yeah,
this book.
yeah, absolutely. All right, so that was all our number threes. All right, let's talk about Nova Centurion issue one. This is kind of spinning out of Imperial, but you didn't really need to read Imperial to
Yeah,
get
I
this.
didn't read Imperial and I
Yeah,
didn't feel lost.
yeah. So, what did you? I'll go to you first. What did you think about this one?
I thought it was fine. I think if you're a really big fan of Richard Rider, you're going to enjoy it because
Yeah.
it's his personality, it's his character. I'm more of a Sam Alexander fan and I don't love
Mhm.
Cosmic Marvel. So I was like, I can understand this is not for me. That doesn't mean it's bad. And that's literally how I felt about the book. It's like, it's not a bad book. It's just not my
Yeah,
thing.
I totally get that. I actually said I did a short review of this,
Mm.
and I said if you're a big Nova Richard Rider Nova fan or you're a New Warriors fan, you'll probably like this. But I didn't say that, but at the same time, I was kind of inferring if you're not, this might not be your thing. But I
Mhm.
agree. It didn't blow me out of the water, but it was solid. It was a decent story. I'm a Richard Rider fan. I'm a New Warriors fan. There was like a little nod to New Warriors. He was wearing a New Warriors baseball cap at one point in the issue, which I appreciated. It felt very Richard Rider to me. There were links to Annihilation, different cosmic events, which I was a fan of. I know, again, that's
Yeah.
not your thing, so I totally get that. But for anybody that was a fan of like Annihilation and stuff like that, any of the more recent cosmic stuff with Marvel, I think there's enough to latch onto here. And even stuff like for people that were fans of Firefly and stuff, I think there's little elements of that here. There was a little kind of a sarcastic humor in the book too.
His personality really shined through here,
Yeah,
which I liked. So, like, I think that was why I was most impressed by and why I
yeah,
was like, this is a well written book. That's not for me. Because I was like, I
yeah.
could tell if
Well,
you're a fan of this character, they showcase stuff from him.
yeah, well, it's Jed McKay too, and it's Jed McKay on
Yeah,
a
yeah,
single
yeah.
character, which he seems to shine at.
Hmm.
So
That's
yeah,
why I picked it up was because of
yeah,
him, or else I wouldn't have picked it up because I was like, oh, I like Jed McKay. He always surprises me with solo
right,
series. So
yeah. But again, it's a cosmic story, so if you're not into cosmic, you might not like it. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. It didn't make my top five, but I did enjoy it, and I'll be back for the next issue. So I did read this. I did catch
I'm
up. I
glad.
promised you all I would.
How
Um,
did
ev-
you feel about it?
uh, well, let me say what it is, and then I'll
Oh,
talk about what I
yeah,
feel
yeah, yeah,
about it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But everything dead and dying, issue number three. Kat and Mike, if you've been watching the show for the past couple of months, Mike and Kat have really been on me about trying this book and reading it, and I kept saying I'll catch up, and I never did. and they give me a hard time about it. So I finally did it, and I really enjoyed it. This is a really powerful story. It does give me Walking Dead vibes, but it's handled in such a different way.
And like compact more because obviously Walking Dead is a
Yeah,
100 issue series, so you get
right.
like it's just like how about if The Walking Dead was 100 issues, but it's compacted to like 5.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you're already so far into this world, like this has been going on for 12 years, I think it is.
Mhm.
And now you're seeing like the community aspect that you get in Walking Dead coming into play, but they're kind of the villains of the story in a way, which I think is really interesting. You have this guy that's, just trying to protect his family, even though they're dead. And from this issue, you get the impression that this is an anomaly, that this whole muscle memory thing, that this whole town is an anomaly from what's going on in the rest of the world. And it's all due to him feeding them and taking care of them and kind of keeping them in their routines, which I thought was interesting because I thought that's just the way zombies acted in this world, but
Mhm.
it's not.
Me
It's
too, yeah.
because, yeah, it's because of his involvement, which I thought was interesting. I don't know what that means exactly yet, but I
Well,
definitely,
especially because it's broken now, like
yeah,
with the
like, what's gonna
daughter.
happen? Right, yeah, with what happened with
Probably
her.
dead, probably not alive anymore, but it was kinda
Probably
open-ended because you don't see the body, but it's pretty
right.
open.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
you
pretty
you heard the scream, so
yeah, it's pretty probably gonna happen that she's dead. But I
yeah,
also like that this is what I mean by not all characters have to be nice, right? He's not
yeah,
a good person, but
right,
he's trying, right? Like he's
yeah,
just like he's also not purely evil. I think that's the most interesting characters are people that are morally gray. Because if you
yeah,
look at his past, like he did bad things, right? He
yep,
wasn't the best father or the best husband.
right.
And then you see him in
He's
this
very
world, he's like,
human.
"Shit."
Yeah,
Like, yeah, he's really human,
right.
exactly. And in this world, he's like, "I'm gonna try being better, even though I'm
Mhm.
not perfect." Because obviously his family's kind of falling apart here too. So
Yeah,
I really like him. I just like I love the story. It was so surprising. Uh, it's just like if you love zombie stories, you need to be picking this up. It's just like you could
yeah,
tell how much love the creative team has for this genre, but also like zombies have not been done so many times. How do you make it different? And
yeah,
this book does a really good job of making it different and also adding the perspective that he is a queer character. Like you don't really see that very often as a
yeah,
main character, but I also like how his queerness is displayed here. Like obviously it's a very important part of his character, but it's not the whole series, right? Like
yeah,
I think it just balances it really well where it doesn't
right.
erase that he's queer, but also like there's other stuff going on. And sometimes with
Yeah,
queer narratives, it's just like they're just queer. And then I don't know, I just think it's really well balanced that it is so evidently queer, but
yeah.
still about zombies.
Yeah, and especially in the flashbacks where you see what he struggled with,
Mhm.
and being in small town USA, and feels like it's the South. I don't remember if they said where it's at
It
exactly.
felt like it. I don't know where it was
Yeah,
either. It may be like Midwest or whatever, but it was
yeah, it
not
might be.
not in New York City.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, and definitely not a welcoming place. At times, or at least before everybody died.
Mhm.
So yeah, the struggles and even like the tension between his family, like you said, he wasn't the best, family man. And
But he also
that
wasn't
all
the
played
worst.
into
He
it.
wasn't
Yeah,
like, like the worst person in the world. He just wasn't great
right.
at
Yeah,
it.
he didn't know how to stick up for himself, and he
Mm.
drank his problems away, and that caused some issues and all that kind of thing. So very, again, very human story in this very, dead world. So yeah, there's some nice, balancing, nice chemistry, nice, you know, poetic nature to this story. And again, if you just like zombies for the gore and the violence, you got plenty of that too. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff to enjoy here.
Good
So I really
art
liked
too.
it. Yeah,
Really
yeah,
good art.
yeah, for sure. All right, so that takes us to our number twos then. So Mike's number two was that Spider-Man Holiday Special, which no surprise there. Mine was Everything Dead and Dying, so we just talked about that.
Mine too, actually.
Oh,
So we already
nice.
talked about it.
Okay. So moving on to All New Spider-Gwen, which we already talked about. So that takes us right to our number ones. What was your number one, Cat?
Mine was Spider-Man. I was again, it's just like if you're a Spider-Man fan, it's just kind of everything you
Gotcha.
want from a Spider-Man story.
Mine was G.I. Joe. Anybody could probably guess that. I love G.I. Joe. I'm a big G.I. Joe mark. And Mike's was Everything Dead and Dying. So
So me
those
and
are
Mike, yeah, me and Mike switched
yeah,
places over there.
right. But those two books specifically, Everything Dead and Dying and the Holiday Spectacular, were in all of ours. So that's cool. All
No,
right.
it was a big week. So it was a good
Yep.
week. It was a big week. I don't. Tomorrow is a big week in the regard of there's like bigger comics, but I think I have a normal amount of books. I think I have
Yeah.
like 13 or 14, but I know like DCKO comes out and Superman and stuff
Right.
like that. But I think I actually have a normal amount of books.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like you said. It's not as big a haul. It's just bigger books. Yeah, for
No,
sure.
because
So
the biggest
still,
book this week was the crossover. Everything else was
yeah.
just like continuations of other things you've been reading.
Right. Exactly. All right. So getting into that, let's talk about our most anticipated. I'll just read off Mike's list real quick, and then we'll go through ours. So Mike had the Invisible Man, which neither one of us are reading. He's raved about this. I want to read
I
it,
know.
but it's just it's 4 issues in now, so I'll try to get in trade or something. Absolute Batman number 14.
That
Um,
was almost made my list, but
yeah,
this
mine
is
too.
a failure arc until I think we get to the Joker. I think the next issue is the
Mm,
Joker. So I was like,
yeah,
oh, I'm like kind of more excited for that.
yeah. I think this is the culmination of the Bane thing. I think Catwoman and
Mhm.
Batman are fighting Bane in this one. Yeah.
No.
And then his number one, I'll save because it's also mine and Cat's number one. Let's talk about your number three, Green Lantern number 29.
I was really impressed by the last issue, which was the first issue after this big crossover. It
Yeah,
had a really interesting hook where Hal's name is in the book. I think it was in the book or some
yeah,
book,
right.
and that means like someone, some stuff is gonna happen to him. Like he's gonna be the center of some drama, and I was like, oh, that's a really cool hook, and I enjoyed the pacing of the last issue. So I was curious to see where this one's gonna go.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what that story has for us, what that means, his name in the book and stuff. So really curious. I love that the book's split now, so you can
Mhm.
just follow the one and you can follow
Yeah,
whichever characters you're a fan of. Yeah,
because I think maybe I talked about it last week, but
yeah,
I decided to drop Green Lantern Corps because of that. Because I was just like,
yeah.
well, I'm just kind of here for Hal anyways.
I mean, I love Kyle, so I'll keep picking it up, but I didn't love that first issue.
Mhm.
Just the way it was, kind of
Same.
framed. So we'll see how it goes from there. At least I think Mike and I will still be reading at least for now, but we'll see. All right, so my number three is Cloak or Dagger, issue number two. I really like that first issue, and now we're gonna find out what exactly happens when they coexist, like what made them this way when that extra mutation happened or whatever. So I'm curious to see what that is and what it does to them. So all right, so Superman number 32, DC KO tie-in, of course.
Yeah. Go
Yeah,
on.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, Superman has just been so great, and it's the true flagship of DC because it really all the story that was here actually built into DCKO.
Yeah,
So if you want more information about DCKO, read Superman because
yeah,
that is what's going to give you more information. And then last issue, I think we had the lowest stuff that she has powers back, so there's definitely some drama going there. I love this book, and again,
yeah,
I'll always state this just in case this is a new viewer. Like, I don't usually like Superman that much. I don't remember last time I read a full Superman ongoing series because I usually pick it up and like, whatever, Superman, and
yeah.
I drop it. But this
Right.
has just
Same.
been so good, and it's been 3 years of this, which is very long running and great.
Yeah, no, 32 issues. It's crazy. I've never read a Superman story this long. Like the
Yeah.
last time I remember reading one quite that long was like the death of Superman. And I don't think I even read that many issues of that run. So that's crazy. All right, so my number two is Supernatural. Number two, I really enjoyed that first issue. It felt like an episode of the show. They're in Vegas in this issue, so I can't wait to see what happens with that. And then
Hopefully they gamble a little bit.
yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah. And then of course, all three of our number ones is DCKO number two. Gotta see what happens next, especially with everything that happened in that first issue. So
I also want to see if the hype continues, right? Because
yeah,
we've all
yeah.
been so hyped by the little information of this series, but
Right.
really the series hasn't actually started. So
Hmm.
it's like, oh, I want to see what the series is going to bring
Yeah.
and try to take my blinders away and like see what's going on. But I like the first issue. I mean, there was obviously big moments that happened there.
Yeah.
So curious to see where the second one goes and what's going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. Once the fighting actually starts, I'm really curious to see how the story holds up. So
Yeah.
yeah, this will be a telling issue for sure. But that is it. That's all our most anticipated, and that's pretty much our show now.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed. We wanted to give you a show, even if it's a little bit of a shorter show. We will
Yeah.
hopefully be back next week. Again, there's a lot of great comic books to talk about, DCKO, all those tie-ins to DCKO. It was interesting. I don't think no, you had Cloak and Dagger. It's like I don't think any of
Yeah.
us had a Marvel book, but you at least did have Cloak
Yeah,
and
I did
Dagger.
have that one. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed. Brant, anything you want to plug before we jump off?
No, I mean, just check out our channels, Cat's Comic Uno, Mike's Comic Book Corner 2.0, and My Only Good Comics. I just celebrated my 100th episode of Friday First last week. I'm taking this week off for the holiday, but I'll be back with a brand new format next week. Excited about that, and starting to grow my channel a little bit more. I've been doing TikTok stuff almost daily through the weekdays, and so you can check that out as well.
Awesome. And yeah, for me at Comic Inno, if you're looking for reviews on Wednesday, I put up reviews on Wednesday. I rank all the books I read, so go check that out. And I do top 10 Kickstarter videos too. So if you like Kickstarters, I got that. And yeah, that's pretty much my content. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one.
Happy
Bye.
holidays.